Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Monday is the number 11 online meeting of 2022. And I'm really proud to be here and to talk about medical fiber sensing. First of all, I would like to name all our members. So this great community that reached nearly 800 members. Exactly, we are now 786. And as I said, it's a great community of companies and the university photonics. And all together, we are really making our best for the growing of this great ecosystem, this great European ecosystem. We do a lot, we organize a lot of activities on purpose for this great community, and especially this program of online meeting. And today we will speak about medical fiber sensing, but it's not the only topic. You see here we are jumping from agri-photonics, quantum technologies, nano satellites in the space, woodworking. So we are trying to cover all the potential application of photonics. And announce the next season from September 22 until January 23. And new season will have not only online meeting, but also in-person meeting, as we did before 2020. Today we will speak about medical fiber sensing, and I do it with my great mate, Jérémy Picot-Clémente. Me, Jérémy, and a lot of other colleagues are supporting this community. Jérémy, tell us.
Yes, Antonio, thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to introduce the EPIC team, because everything could not be possible without the 13 people, all passionate by photonics. A part of the team is actually dedicated to technology support, and the other part to marketing and event management. And this team manage and supports all the ecosystem with our technology knowledge, markets reports providing, proactive networking by organizing physical and online meetings like today, and also easing the market access to our members. We also provide mentorship and investment support to our members, but also in HR with a specific website dedicated to the jobs in the field of photonics. We have also 6 sponsors. Maybe you can, yeah, perfect, thank you. We have also 6 sponsors for our today OTM. Thanks to them. I will take now a few minutes to introduce them. First of all, Art Photonics, which is one of the worldwide leaders in development and production of specialty fiber production for broad spectrum from 300 nanometers to 16 micrometers. They develop unique technologies of polycrystalline mid-infrared fibers and metal-coated silica fibers, which are used for several applications, including medical diagnostics. We have also today OFS, which is a leading integrated manufacturer of optical fibers from the glass preform design and fiber draw process up to complex photonic assembly. The highly customized portfolio encompasses specialty optical fibers, cables, and assemblies for power delivery, imaging, and sensing application. We have also SUS MicroOptics, which produces high-quality refractive and diffractive micro-optics for fiber coupling, collimation, and beam homogenizing based on huge experience in optical design, engineering, wafer-level manufacturing, metrology, and packaging. We have Modulight, which is a well-known company designing and manufacturing innovative laser solution for medical markets and applications. We have FBGS, which develops tailored solution combining fiber optics sensors and interrogation technology, enabling advanced catheter navigation and position tracking without using radiation or contrast agent. And last but not least, NYFORS, which is a supplier of advanced glass processing and preparation equipment for specialty optical fiber splashing operation. They supply reliable and precise solution tailored to the individual challenges within medical fiber sensing, but also for other applications. So if you want to get in touch with any participant today, feel free to send us an email, and we will introduce you to these members. You can also find and add us on LinkedIn, and yeah, that's okay for them.
So today we will discuss with a very interesting value. Today we will discuss with the medical manufacturer, and we will try to address with them how to use fiber sensing in a medical device. So we are trying, we will following the fil rouge of two questions. The epic question: what I can do for you and what you can. And I will say, maybe in background today, we will have also another floating topic, how introduce these great technologies already used in other environments into the medical field. Medical field is always a special topic, but this could be the way to address the discussion today. And we will do this, as I said, with my great mate, and also with this panel. We will have Alexis Mendez, the president of MCH Engineering, then Eric Pinet from FISO Resonetics, Mauro Sette, the CEO of a Swiss company, Medyria, Bram van Oe, the director of sales and marketing at FBGS, then Stefano Pomati, the senior global product manager of Asensus, and finally Remco, new CEO of Somni Solution. We will exploit this topic with all the participants, but I will not leave any other time. Pass the floor immediately to Alexis Mendez, because we will have a lot of things to talk today. Alexis, the floor is.
Thank you, Antonio. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. It's a pleasure to be here with you this morning from California. And I have the pleasure to give you a brief introduction over the next 6-7 minutes about the rationale of why fiber optics for biomedical applications. What are some of the trends, some of the opportunities, what are some of the key technical hurdles, and what is the prospective future outlook. So without further ado, let me move on to share with you some tidbits about this, and put in presentation mode, and sorry, just read and then annotate, and
Perfect.
Spotlight. Okay, so over the next 6-7 minutes, I'd like to tell you, first of all, why fiber optics in medicine in general, and then as part of that question, what are the specific trends, what are the driving forces promoting the adoption of optical fibers and fiber sensors overall across the healthcare industry globally? What are some of the specific areas of application, not only for the sensors themselves, but for the optical fibers as components? And then a quick take on the market and some conclusions. So why fiber optics in medicine? Well, realistically, ever since the discovery of the laser, light has been exploited for a variety of medical purposes. So light is energy, and depending on how this energy is used in its interaction with biological systems, with tissues, you can have a different set of applications. So generically, you can say that you can use it as a probing signal, and then you can do imaging, analytics, or sensing. But if the wavelengths or the intensity of this light is above certain threshold, then you can apply it for treatment or therapeutics. On one hand. On the other hand, realistically, the reason why optical fibers are so such a good fit for the biomedical industries, because on one hand, they are completely dielectric in their construction. They do not carry any electrical signals. They are completely immune to electromagnetic radio frequency interference, which means that they are safe to use with patients. They can perfectly be used within imaging procedures such as MRI, CT scanners, etc. And again, there is no danger nor to the healthcare providers nor the patients. Taking into consideration, besides that the fibers are very small and lightweight, very thin guiding elements, so they can easily be fitted into a variety of surgical tools, especially when you start considering the advent of robotically assisted surgery, and we'll look some more into that. And they also, as sensors, have the capability to monitor a variety of different parameters. Sorry. So realistically, the first uses of optical fibers were actually done for medical applications. The very first clad drawn fiber was produced in a university lab at the University of Michigan back in 1956. You see here the picture of the graduate student, Larry Curtis, and this rudimentary draw tower arrangement. The first spool of an optical fiber was actually a paperboard container of Quaker Oats oatmeal. You see there the spool, and the application was to start having optical fibers for endoscopes for medical applications. Fast forward to today, and what's happening? Well, you know, the global population is growing. It's expected to keep reaching 9 billion people globally. Not only that, in certain parts of the world, US, Japan, parts of Central Europe, population is aging, and that also demands additional healthcare. In addition, we are not very healthy people lately, a lot of diabetes, a lot of high cholesterol, a lot of heart problems. Take, for instance, all the situation with COVID, lots of infectious diseases. And one way or the other, all of these globally represents increased demand, increased need for healthcare services. In addition, if you walk into any healthcare clinic, into any hospital, you'll see that gone are the days when a thermometer and a stethoscope was all that was needed. There is a tremendous reliance and dependence on instrumentation of all sorts to provide diagnostic tools for patients. In addition, you know, we are driving away from really open surgeries and try to focus more into what is known as minimally invasive surgeries, as well as those based on assisted robotic procedures. And all of this is driving the need for instrumented catheters. And optical fibers have an ideal fit, again, because of their small size, their small diameter, their lightweight, and their intrinsic dielectric nature. Additionally, there is a pervasive use of lasers across the industry, so fibers are the natural guiding medium. So looking at the robotic assisted surgery, one of the key elements here is that the surgeon is not directly in contact with the patient. It can be several hundreds of meters away or even kilometers away. And one of the elements that is missed from all of this is the so-called force feedback, the haptic feedback. Additionally, there is a need to have spatial orientation to know exactly where these robotic tools are. And fiber optics, through the use of 3 multi-core, multi-FBG arrays for shape and position sensing, are helping complement that technical gap. There is also a desire, a need for rapid in situ, in real-time chemical analysis for blood analysis, and that can also be done with fiber optics. So in general, there is a vast set of applications, again, not only for sensors, but optical fibers in general. You can see here in this graph that, you know, optical fibers can be used for illumination purposes. inside medical instruments, for surgical processes. Certainly one of the key largest markets is for endoscopes, but you can also use it for chemical analysis with spectroscopy, confocal microscopy, as well as optical coherence tomography probes. Something that is not very well known, there is something called digital X-rays that are based on the use of fused optical fiber tapers and faceplates. And obviously, we talked about laser delivery. So it really, there is a broad set of applications, and it's broad not only in the sense of the applications themselves, but it's also broad in the sense of the specialties within the medical field where this is applied. It really covers all the different areas of specialization. In terms of the sensors themselves, can be broken down into 4 categories for physical, chemical, biological, or imaging applications. And physical will be your typical vital signs type of parameters, body temperature, blood pressure, your heart rate, your respiration, etc. So all of these are potential parameters that in principle can be devised using optical fiber sensors. And then you can have a variety of different types of devices depending on how invasive they are and whether they penetrate a certain tissue in a living organism or not. In a patient, you can have in vivo, in vitro, indwelling or not indwelling devices, or fully implantable. And in terms of the techniques and solutions, the rest of the panel will be covering that in more detail. But there is a variety of options. It depends on exactly what parameter are you trying to monitor, whether you want to do it in vivo or in vitro, whether it will be a single point or a distributed sensor. And then based on the specific parameter that you may have to identify what is the physical effect that you can exploit to properly detect that parameter or that analyte. But lots of opportunities in the medical sector, in the healthcare area, also for research. And one area that tends to overlook is veterinary medicine. Here, the opportunities are equally relevant, except that some of the industry and the certification requirements will be a lot more relaxed than doing it for human patients. So don't overlook the vet sector as well. And commercially, where the opportunities are for all of us in the photonics industry are within specialty fibers, coherent and incoherent fiber bundles, specialty fiber cables that are qualified for biomedical applications, putting lenses and doing different special terminations on the ends of fibers for laser delivery applications, and certainly sensing probes, and for the digital X-rays that I mentioned, these taper faceplates. The market right now is growing. It's expected to be on the order of $1.5 billion by the end of the year. It's heavily segmented, and I don't have time to go into the details, but you'll have access to the presentation. And lots of future opportunities, like some of the ideas from Professor Cusano. You can even have a multi-parameter analytical system, lab on a fiber, disposed on the tip of an optical fiber. My time is up. I want to thank everyone and leave you with some thoughts that, we've been using optical fibers since 1957, lots of opportunities in different areas, and the imagination is the limit. It's a great market, tremendous opportunities, very lucrative, especially if you consider using disposable probes. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the workshop.
Thank you so much, Alexis. Thank you so much for setting the scene. Your presentation is fantastic to understand. I just have a comment. Home is that there is a huge potential of reason to use fiber sensing from the technological and scientific point of view, as well from the business point of view. Is a wide and also the market size are growing. So thank you so much for this, and I will ask to the other participant if they want to make some question or So I think that they are all still.
Digesting the info.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think that very dense presentation, Alexis. Maybe I make my question myself. So optical sensing with fiber is not something really new. It's something that is existing. What is the trick or the push further exploitation and application in the medical field? Is just the regulation, or there are some other issues that should be addressed?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first hurdle that people will encounter when working on biomedical applications, and I'm sure that my colleagues who are more heavily involved in actually designing, developing, and commercializing solutions can attest to this, is that there's got to be a crossover between the optics and photonics community and the medical community. So as part of your development team, you need people who come from the medical background or have certain expertise with biology, with chemistry, with the healthcare industry. At the present time, most of the small companies, the startups that are developing these solutions, we are all coming from a photonics background, electrical engineering, industrial engineering, material science, mechanics, but not necessarily with a specific bio or medical background. And there are a variety of different things that we don't know, and certain common practices in the healthcare industry that we're not familiar with. So is that crossover that is essential to see the projects to their ultimate success? In my personal opinion, that's one key ingredient. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So maybe just I see that maybe the people are shying a little to make question. I will proceed with the next speaker, Eric Pinet, that is also another old user of fiber sensing, but more in the medical field. So from Eric, what to do?
Yes. So thank you for the opportunity of being to this very interesting meeting. I would like to be actually telling you why should you be using optical sensors in medical devices. So first, as an introduction, I want to let you know that we are a world leader in fiber optic point sensing. We are based in Quebec, Canada, and we have been designing, manufacturing, and marketing fiber optic sensors since almost 30 years now. Actually, recently, last year, Resonetics acquired FISO technologies, and now we are part of a bigger family with more than 14 sites worldwide. We are operating 4 clean rooms where we have a MEMS foundry, automated lines, OEM medical assembly, and prototyping. And our main market is obviously medical, with 80% of our business done there. And we have 2 main technologies that are used in this field, which is fabric perro and gallium arsenide as well. And the rest of the business is done in energy and industry, where we have a gallium arsenide and Raman, recently acquired with SensorNet, which is distributed temperature sensing. Of course, we are also ISO certified. As Alexis introduced it very nicely, we have a very interesting advantages of optical sensors. They are fully unaffected by radio frequency, electromagnetic interferences, microwave, and they're immune to high voltage. They are fully transparent to magnetic field, which means that they could be used under MRI. They're also tolerant to radiation, which could be done with some therapies. And also, they are intrinsically safe. It's inert conduction, optic conduction, so no risk for electrocuting the patient. The optical fiber is fully chemically inert, fully biocompatible, and most importantly, the small size of the sensors is actually what makes the difference between optical sensors and electrical sensors. At FISO Technologies, we have a special Fabry-Perot technology, which is very useful for reading multiple parameters with a single module. And we can read, for instance, pressure, temperature, strain, force, displacements, and even refractive index with the same module. And as we have a white light Fabry-Perot interferometry technology, we do actually have an absolute measurement. It means that if you plug and unplug the system, you will get the same exact reading, and which is a very accurate reading. It is also a wide dynamical range and also a very, very low drift, which is a great advantage over electrical sensors. Also, we have a very smart connection, which makes the system very easy to use. You plug and play, and the system recognizes the sensor and its calibration parameters, and it reads directly your parameter. Yeah, and also it's easy to upgrade. You can switch from the R&D benchmark to the final product, and also it's a reliable technology since we have been using this for more than 25 years. Concerning the applications in medical field, most of the sensors that we do sell in this field are actually the optical pressure sensors. We offer the smallest form factor on the market with only 200 micron diameter of the sensor, which is quite small. It's very accurate sensors with ±3 millimeter mercury absolute with a very low drift, as I said previously. And also we offer many integration options, like different customization depending on the application. They are already used in several medically approved medical devices, and we are able to produce those with high volume with fully automated assembly lines. And actually we are producing more than 300,000 units per year, and with possibly 2.5 million sensors already in the field. So that's quite a lot of sensors if you think about that. So that's what we are offering. So a reliable technology suitable for single-use devices. And what we are looking for applications where those sensors could be used. And I found some of those applications that Alexis mentioned, but more specifically here, some therapy catheters that are used with optical sensors. The sensation from getting this sensation intra-aortic balloon catheter is maybe one of the oldest one that has been a commercial success. It's actually a counterpulsation balloon that is placed in the aortic cross and that is triggering with a pressure sensor. And this actually is a quite old technology that has been used since the late 60s. And previously it was a fluid field catheter that was used with an external electrical sensor. But now there's an optical sensor that is used at the very tip of the sensor. And it means that it has an in situ increased arterial pressure waveform that is used to trigger the balloon inflation and deflation. And it offers, compared to the fluid field catheter, it offers a reduced signal transfer delay, the maximum space for the helium gas, which is the one that is used for inflating the balloon. Also, it's not affected by the patient movement and positioning, which is a great advantage. Another therapy catheter that is quite interesting is the Tacticat from Abbott. Actually, this one is a contact force ablation catheter. It is used to treat cardiac arrhythmias with RF ablation. And actually, it has 3 force sensors that allow the catheter to read the force intensity, but also its orientation, which is a great advantage for the therapy. And it's highly accurate. They claim 0.3 gram. Now, switching to diagnostic devices that have been instrumented with optical sensors. It is well known that Boston Scientific Comet 2 is a workhorse pressure guide wires with exceptional deliverability. They actually included an optical sensor right behind the floppy tip, and it's a 14 mil guide wire, so a very small diameter. And the optical technology offers superior drift performance and reliable signal connection. Similarly, the NYFORS 2 from Asensus, which is also a catheter, rapid action microcatheter that is used for FFR, for fraction reserve, the diagnostic, which means that it's allowed to have a diagnostic to know if the stent should be positioned or not. And actually, they have a small pressure sensor integrated in that device, and the fiber optic technology offers less susceptible drift when compared to traditional pressure wires. So you see all those applications are real applications where those companies sell several a lot of number of medical devices that are all single use. Okay, so thank you for your attention, and I'm open now for questions if any.
Thank you very much, Eric, for interesting presentation. So do we have some question from the participant? Check. Okay, I have a question for you, Eric.
Sure.
Yeah. So you mainly measure the pressure with your product. That's it.
Yes.
Yeah. And do you have other interesting characteristics you are able to measure also, which could be used in the medical market, medical application?
Yeah, actually, as I mentioned, with the Fabry Perot, we have several applications where the pressure sensor, the pressure could be measured, but also the temperature. And what is also used is the force, like the one that you've seen in one of the applications that is used. So with such technology, you have access to many different parameters. Of course, also a distance sensor could be used in surgeries where you need to position some catheters. So these are also some options. But if I look at the different applications that we do have at FISO Resonetics, is mainly pressure sensor and volume. First comes the pressure sensor, then maybe a temperature or force, if you want.
Okay.
Sure is when you do some RF ablation or radio frequency ablation, you want to know, so you basically you burn some tissues and you don't want to burn everything. So there's also some application where you want to, where there are some introducers where you want to know the pressure directly when you introduce a needle. Some of them are instrumented with spot sensors. So many different applications, but the one that is with the highest volume is really the pressure sensor for blood pressure. And the reason for that is because in cardiology, it's easier to have a high value devices. And of course, optical sensors are cheaper. I mean, they are not that cheap as the electrical sensors, but when it comes to small size, it's good to have an added value with the optical sensors. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Eric. We have some question in the chat from TNO Michel Oderwa. Maybe you can ask your question directly, Michel. If you mute yourself.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was wondering, how do you deal with the ambient pressure changes? For instance, in La Paz, the ambient pressure is much lower than at sea level. Do you always use a lumen to equalize with the ambient pressure?
No, actually, for the ambient pressure, we can do a zeroing. So, and also at the signal conditioner, there could be a measuring outside pressure. So atmospheric pressure could be measured at the system, and the sensor measures the absolute pressure actually. So it means the atmospheric pressure plus the fluctuation of the heartbeat. So usually people are more interested in the heartbeat, and in some of interventional applications where there's no a long therapy, a few minutes or a few hours, the change in the atmospheric pressure is not that big. But if we need to have to follow a drift, like for instance for intracranial pressure, it's important to compensate for the atmospheric pressure, and this could be done from the outside at the signal conditioner.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's okay.
I have some troubles with the sound, so I changed it. I have some big. So I see that there are also other questions from Willem Jan from Philips Innovation Service. So please, yourself.
So thanks, Antonio. Yeah, thanks for your presentation. It was really interesting. I have a question on how far do you integrate your optical fiber into a module? What is your limit as FISO technology and Resonetics to make a module or integrate it in a catheter or guide wire yourself?
Yeah, actually, most of the business is OEM. So we are providing the complete solution, the complete sensing solution to our OEM customers. So it means that we have the interrogator, which is the small module that you've seen on one picture, and the optical fiber, and also depending on the application, we sell either bare fiber or a fiber that could be integrated into protection, like a metal or polyamide, for instance. But also we have also, depending on the application, we could offer the whole device and manufacture the whole product that is sold by our customer. And in terms of the optical signal conditioner, it's basically for the medical application. It's a board, and we have what we call a development kit, what can be used on the lab, and you do your early test on that, and when you want to integrate that into your final signal, integrating unit, often the optical sensor is just a part of the whole unit, and so you just plug and play because it's the same module that is in the development kit, and so you have the communication protocols and the electronics connected to that, and we offer all the information for easy insertion of this module into the final application. I don't know if this respond to your question, or if you want to be more precise. If you need more details, we can also exchange later on. Just contact me.
Sure. Thank you a lot, Eric.
Yes.
I just have a last question. I'm curious.
Yes.
I am familiar with FISO, but what is the relation between Resonetics and FISO?
Maybe this passed very quickly at the beginning of the presentation. Actually, FISO Technologies has been acquired by Resonetics in November last year. So now we are Resonetics Quebec, but we still have the same products and the same. Now we have a sales force that is more bigger than the one we had at the FISO time.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you so much. So I think other question in the chat and no other hands raised. So I will now give the floor to Mauro Sette from company Medyria, a Swiss company manufacturing medical device with optical fiber sensing. So I'm really curious to learn experience. So Mauro, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Antonio. Thank you very much for this invitation. Yeah, indeed, I'm presenting to you a little bit the work that we're doing in Medyria. Medyria is a company based in Switzerland. We are in the canton Zurich. And what I'm presenting to you today is a collaboration that we are having with FISO. And the collaboration is framed within a Eurostars project, so it's a European-funded project. And the aim of this collaboration is to develop a new medical device. Do you see my screen? Am I sharing correctly? Yes, perfect. Okay, so this the European project aims to develop a catheter that measure both flow velocity sensing, and the flow velocity sensing, it is our core expertise. So we have developed a sensor to measure the blood flow velocity, and we are merging and we are integrating into one device also the pressure sensor from FISO. And the idea is to have a full physiological assessment of what is happening within the heart. And now within this presentation, I wanted to go in depth on the use of this marvelous technology based on optical fibers that we are doing with FISO, that it is used currently to assess the health status of the coronaries. Coronaries are the main vessels of your heart. Here you see the vascular tree of your heart. And with the pressure, you can assess the status of the main vessel. While if you couple then later with the blood flow velocity, you will address the status of the small vessels and also the microvasculature. But let's talk about the pressure measurement. So a little bit going in depth into the clinical application. When you have when you have a chest pain, so there is a patient that is in pain, and there is the risk of having a heart stroke, and then the doctor wants to investigate the origin of this heart stroke. And you have that in many cases the origin is a plaque, so it's an atherosclerotic plaque that is creating an obstruction into the coronaries. So what you would like to do, you would like to take a decision whether this plaque should be treated or the plaque should not be treated, okay? If you want to treat it when it is really obstructive, when it is really limiting the flow, and you don't want to treat it when the plaque is not the guilty or the cause, the main cause of the heart stroke and the angina. Why you want to take this decision carefully? Because of course, if you treat it and you place a stent, for example, to enlarge the vessel, you might incur the risk of a late instant restenosis. So actually, you do not want to put a stent if it is not really necessary, because the stent, being a foreign body within your vessel, can create itself a restenosis. Okay. While on the other hand, if you do nothing, you might have the risk that the plaque, is limiting the flow, and the patient can have a myocardial infarction. So how do you discriminate between needing a stent or not needing a stent? There is a group of cardiologists that I would say in the last 30 years, they develop an index that is based on pressure measurement that is called FFR, fractional flow reserve. How does it work? So you need to make a pressure measurement invasively. So you need to go inside the vessel. So there is a certain constraint for this device to be very, very small. And you would measure two pressure, one distal pressure that is distal to the lesion. So let's say down into the vessel. And the second pressure that is proximal, that is typically the pressure, the aortic pressure. Then if you have the ratio of these two pressures during a condition that is called maximum hyperemia, that you inject with some drugs, you would have the index that is called FFR. If the FFR it is above 0.8, then the lesion is called not significant, so you don't have to treat it. So if not treating it is better than treating. If the FFR is below 0.75, or let's say below 0.8, you need to treat the stenosis, and it is better that you put a stent because the restriction is very important. Does this help? So is there clinical evidence that this measurement is making the health of the patient better? Yes, there are tons of publication and clinical trials that they all demonstrated that the depth of the patient that were treated using an FFR guided approach, respect to only an angiographic guiding, so only an X-ray guiding, just you know, by looking with your naked eyes at the stenosis. It reduces a lot of you know, bad consequences that you might have in this type of patient, like death, myocardial infarction, or also you know, major complication that you can have in this patient. So it is generally and worldwide recognized that you must measure this pressure within the body. Now, if we look at the different technologies and products that are being used to measure this pressure, you have three categories that are used. The first category is an electric sensor based on a piezoelectric principle, and companies like Abbott or Philips with the OmniWire are using this technology. It is a technology that is easy to implement. It is cheap, but then you have that for some sensor you have drift, and for sure you will have electrical interference. And so you might, you know, in the case when we want to couple it with our flow velocity sensor, you might have interference between the two sensors. Then you have the technology based on the Fabry-Perot, like Eric also underlined, that is implemented in product like Assist, Navus, Boston Scientific, Comet, and also OpSense OptoWire. You have very little drift, you have an high level of miniaturization, you don't have interference with the electrical devices, and it starts to be a little bit more costly of the piezoelectric approach. And then the third approach that you might have is the fiber break gradings approach. There is one device that actually is in development, that is the Ferrari from Idrix. And but with this approach, you start to go from, so you have the same pros of the Fabry-Perot approach, but the device start to be very costly because fiber break gratings are more expensive than this. And down here you have some pictures of those devices. So what we decided to use within our project to implement in our device, of course, the Fabry-Perot, because it offers a lot of pros, okay, with an average price that is totally acceptable for this type of devices. So the result of this project is the development of a totally new microcatheter integrating blood flow velocity measurement, that is what we have developed, together with the pressure sensor based on Fabry-Perot provided by FISO. And this will completely, you know, provide a new tool, a totally new tool to the cardiologist to address what we call full physiological assessment. And this will bring, for sure, benefit for the patient and also for the healthcare systems. And this is the end of my presentation.
Mauro, for the very interesting presentation. So, touching sensing. So, I'm just looking if there is any question coming from Sense Optics that is making a question in the chat. So, please, Axel, make the question yourself.
You measure the pressure, but how do you measure the blood flow?
Yeah, so we don't use a photonic principle, so that's why I didn't introduce it. What we have implemented is a thermoconvection type of principle. So we take a sensor, so an highly miniaturized sensor with a platinum structure. We heat up this sensor 7 degrees above the blood temperature, and we measure the power that is dissipated towards the blood by this sensor.
So you cannot measure with the fiber optics?
No, we are not. We decided not to use fiber optics because we have the need of being very directional sensitive, and we are really playing with the geometry of this sensor to be really prone to measure direction. So this is something that is not suitable to be done with the optical fiber.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so that this is the development project. So I would like also maybe to have some comments from Willem from and then I will also tell something about another interesting EU initiatives on the medical devices. What is doing Philips?
You're breaking a bit up, Antonio.
Yeah, Antonio, it's not clear.
That is not working. I don't understand them. So the floor is yours, Willem. Your connection is better than mine.
Okay. So what Philips Innovation Services is doing, and more specifically Philips MMD. I don't think I can share a slide in the Zoom. But what I was I want to share this slide, but I can do that. Yeah, here. And now this one. Is this coming through? Yeah. Yeah. So
sorry, you are in presentation mode. Maybe you.
And slideshow. Then this is better then.
Okay, let's try that. Like that, yes.
So basically, we don't develop the sensors like Eric and Mauro showed, but we basically do the we specialize in MEMS and micro devices assembly. So the MEMS parts can be used in assembly. Yeah. So what you see here on the left is a MEMS hole in silicon that is then used to, on the other side, couple to a VCSEL, for instance, for optical fiber link. What you see here is basically a tool to allow active alignment of fibers to chips. And what you see here is basically custom placement of two fibers in a dental probe solution, basically. And as a fourth example, integration of ultrasound patches on integrated chips, integrated electronics. And so basically what we do is use your basic technologies and sensors to integrate into electronics and mechanics, basically, and complement it with our own MEMS parts for most accurate alignment and low cost in high volumes. So that's the core of what we do. Same as Eric, we also can do that according to ISO 13485, and as Mauro will also, Antonio will also indicate, we are a partner in MedFab, which allows also to experience our capabilities in an open call fashion. But I won't take too much of your time, so you can look at medfab.eu for those details, and for my details you can contact me as well.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you, William.
Thank you so much. I just share one slide so you can have it on this, just to summarize the MedFab open calls. So as you see, we will have other free soon, and the third one closing end of September. And I'm really open to all information about this open call. Stop sharing. Okay. So, question for Mauro. I don't see no other. Take over because I'm not sure if you can hear me properly.
No, yeah, it's not really really clear, Antonio. Maybe I can take over. Yeah. Okay. So let's move on our next speaker with Bram van Ho, Director Sales and Marketing at FBGS, Belgian-German-based company, and he will talk about fiber brake grating sensor for medical application, I guess. Welcome, Bram.
Thank you, Jérémy, Antonio, for the introduction and the opportunity for FBGS to present our technologies and what we do on medical applications and more specifically on shape and force sensing. I hope you can all see my screen in the correct presentation mode.
Yes, it's perfect.
Okay, thanks. So let me start with briefly introducing our company before diving a bit deeper into our technologies. So we are a developer and manufacturer of fiber optic sensors, components, but also full solutions. So we actually offer turnkey solutions to measure a broad variety of parameters, including temperature, shape, and force. I will tell a bit more on that later on, but also strain and pressure. And the application scope or the application field where we're active is also quite broad. So ranging from medical, which is the focus of the call here or the meeting here today, but we do also much more in process industry, civil engineering, transportation, energy, basically all application areas where fiber optic sensing can be useful, where there are harsh environments to monitor and where there is a need for a high number of measurement points. You see here a glimpse of the team. We are today, I think, between 40 and 45 people. So this was a picture taken in Jena. You see also the city of Jena in the back with, I think, back then, 30, 35 people. So the team has been growing quite a bit over the last years. We actually have two main offices in Europe. One is in Belgium, one is in Germany. The company headquarters are in Jena in Germany. They're all fiber manufacturing and grading inscription activities are to be situated. So all our sensors are based on brake grading technology. Also in Jena in Germany, all R&D activities related to specialty fibers and grading inscriptions are happening. In Belgium, we have our sales and applications office. We develop measurement devices, interrogators, and we also have our solution engineering team working on full measurement solutions and developing customized sensor solutions together with customers. We're also active all around the world. So we have an office in China since 2018. We also have an office in North America and partners, distributors all around the world, basically. I don't need to spend much time on this slide, so I think it's all clear. It's clear for everybody why we want to use optical fibers. They're very reliable. We can benefit from a lot of the advantages or a lot of the components which are available from the telecom industry when it comes to connectorization, cabling, splicing equipment, all that. They're immune to all sorts of interferences. They're also safe to use in explosion environments. I mean, particularly for the medical industry, this second one is of course important. They're small in size, performance, and omnifunctionality has been discussed already. A few words on our fiber manufacturing technologies. We have two technologies to create brake gratings. The first one is to combine fiber drawing and grading inscription, our so-called draw tower gratings. So basically, the key here is the inscription of the grading during the drawing of the optical fiber and before the coating of the fiber is applied, which also means that we can manufacture high numbers of gratings in a very cost-effective way. So that is also removing some of the concerns when it comes to the cost of a brake grading solution to measure shape and force. And then the other technology is based on writing gratings through the coating, where we use an ultra-short laser pulse or multiple ultra-short laser pulses, so-called femtosecond gratings. Which comes with a higher degree of, let's say, flexibility on optical parameters, fiber types, and so on. What I want to talk on here specifically today is shape and force sensing, which is enabled by multicore fibers. I think Alexis already touched upon it before. Oh, sorry. So we basically have multiple active cores in the same cladding. Gratings are inscribed in all of the cores, and the differential strain response is used to calculate shape or basically curvature and curvature angle, and based on that, shape information is extracted. Unfortunately, I cannot share too many, let's say, customer names or commercial information here, but the main applications or some of the main applications are listed here. So it's about real-time position tracking, instrument and catheter navigation, but also bending detection and deformation monitoring in general can, of course, be done using this technology. It's also possible to use the same technology to pick up force effects or to even link shape information with force information, to have force feedback, to have haptic feedback when controlling surgical tools and other elements in the or during surgery or during medical operations. So some other applications are listed here. We're actually active in all of the application areas which are mentioned here. Also continuum robotic systems, also bronchoscopy is a hot topic where, again, precise navigation of the tools which are being used is of essence to make the operation successful, to increase the success rate of operations. Orthopedic procedures is another area where we're active in, where also position tracking is of great interest. To talk a bit on the different building blocks we offer here, or which are part of our offering. So we actually offer the full food chain from interrogation technology. So the measurement boxes, sorry, keeps flipping back and forth. The measurement device boxes, which are used or which are needed to read out an optical fiber. So in the interrogator, our so-called shape scan, a multicore fiber is inserted and a full shape is being reconstructed based on that, all happening in the same box. The sensing probes have been developed over the last years, coming with dedicated protective capillaries, excellent flexibility. Also, termination of the tip is an important aspect. So this is then really resulting in shape sensing probes, which are OEM products, which are offered today and also commercially being used by our customers. And our Illumisense software, so we have our own visualization software platform, which is showing the real-time shape, and which is also offering the possibility to stream the data to other platforms of our customers. Again, OEM solution offerings is our approach here. I'll show you a small movie just to show you the technology. Maybe you've seen this movie before. I mean, we have here an optical multicore fiber, which is inserted into a catheter. If I go back quickly, we see here on the left a measurement device with a separate fan out in this case. So this is still, let's say, a modular setup where the measurement device is separate from the fan out. So the multicore fiber is inserted here, and then the individual fiber cores are connected to an interrogator. And the shape is visualized here on the right, and you see that the real-time shape is actually tracked in 3 dimensions. And in this case, I think the length was between 20 and 30 centimeters of the tracked piece of fiber. This is a glimpse of a commercial application, or I would say an important development we're doing based on drug delivery catheters, where there is a need to basically insert the medication directly into the heart, because the viscosity of the medication can harm the blood vessels. And also there, guidance is actually key for accurate positioning of that central line into the heart. So also here, multicore fibers enable position tracking of the catheter, and basically they avoid that wrong movements are being done with the catheter, which can, of course, hurt the patient quite badly. We went here through animal testing, and this is actually a product which is on the way to being commercialized, basically. I will stop here. I will open the floor for questions, so feel free to ask any questions or to share your application need or your sensing challenge.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Bram, for the presentation. Do we have some question in the chat?
One question.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bram, do you also produce the fan out for the multicore fiber?
The fan outs we don't produce ourselves, so there we work with partners. Of course, there it's important that that fan out manufacturing process is, of course, based on our specific multicore fiber design. So that's I would say, a custom process, but the actual manufacturing of the fan out is not something we do in-house today. Oh.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So we have 3 other questions from Paolo Tagliabue, Optical Sensing Technology. Please, Paolo. Yeah.
Hello, Bram. Nice
Hi,
to
Paolo.
see you here. I have just a question about the multicore fibers. What about the uniformity of the fiber Bragg ratings written into the many cores of the fiber?
You mean uniformity of the Bragg rate, the Bragg ratings in different cores?
I guess that you flash the fiber Bragg ratings all at once in the fiber in the cores, or do you follow a different process? I don't know. And so I'm wondering if the gratings in the several cores have the same characteristics. All of them.
Yes, if we use our Drotto grading manufacturing process, then indeed the gratings are inscribed at the same time in all of the cores. That's correct. And it's of course important to have a uniform or to keep the grading inscription process as uniform as possible to ideally have identical gratings in all of the cores. Of course, there it's also important, or the interrogator or the OEM interrogator engine is also playing an important role there, because in the end, the interrogator will need to extract the sensing information or the Bragg rating information from all of the cores. So even slight non-uniformities are, I mean, it's possible to handle them, but that's of course, I mean, there the link with that interrogator platform comes into play. You need to make sure that your interrogator is capable of handling these non-uniformities to a certain extent. Yes.
Thank you, Bram.
Sure.
Okay, so I think that now we are in, is coming a lot of questions. So I think that the next one is Paola Saccomandi, professor at Politecnico of Milano. Nice to meet you, Paola, please.
Hi.
Yes, I have a very quick question. Do you sell the fiber alone, or is it mandatory to buy the interrogator from FBGS as well? It's a unique system, or?
It's actually presented and sold as a system today, yes. So it's like a turnkey solution we offer. Of course, once the solution or the product is running, there's the possibility to add or to change the, or to go for custom multi-core fiber designs. But we actually only sell it as part of our full interrogator offering then, so as a full system, yes.
Okay, so I suggest that you keep in touch as well. I suggest that each of you please keep in touch with the chat now, and also later if you miss somebody, just ask me or Jeremy, and we will more than happy to introduce each other. And the next one on I follow the sequence on my screen is Samir from Lisa Laser. Welcome, Samir. What is on your mind?
Yeah, thank you very much, Antonio. Thank you, Bram, for the nice presentation. I have a question. Actually, I have two questions. The first one is on the total diameter of your fiber bundle. What is the total diameter, or which is maybe the minimum you can offer? And the second one is on the resolution of the bending radius. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for the questions. First, on the size of the fiber. First of all, it's not a fiber bundle. I mean, we also work with fiber bundles, but what I've shown here in the movie is a pure multi-core fiber. So there is only one fiber, one cladding. Outer diameter, including the coating, is typically around 200 microns, 0.2 millimeters.
Okay, yeah.
And of course, the shape sensing probes, as I've shown them in the presentation, there the fiber is already encapsulated into a specific probe or a specific housing to facilitate navigation of the fiber, or to make sure that the fiber is compatible with the hosting material. So many of the fibers are, of course, encapsulated into specific tubings or sensor housings then, but that's, again, application dependent. But the fiber itself is the 0.2 millimeters. And then the smallest curvature, sorry.
A quite thin fiber. I imagine what is thinking Samir. Sorry. But please, Bram, go ahead.
I mean, on the curvature, the minimum, or let's say the smallest bending diameter we can pick up, that's also a bit of a design parameter. I mean, our measurement is based on the wavelength shift of Bragg rating peaks. So that means that the Bragg peaks are shifting back and forward, and the smaller you make the curve, the larger the shift of the wavelength will be. So depending on the expected curvature ranges that you will have in your application, we design basically the gratings in such a way that they can accommodate the curvature ranges that you plan to measure. Of course, there is also a fundamental minimum limit, so that's really then the mechanical limit you have on the optical fiber. But because the fiber is so thin, you can really go there to a few millimeters of bending radius before the fiber is really breaking. But of course, it's important, again, on the fiber design and the grating design, that the fiber is designed in such a way that you're able to pick up the curvatures you want to measure, because there is no point in making a very small bend and then your measurement is lost because the curvature is too small. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Interesting.
Sure.
Great. I think that I'm really looking forward to see this technology applied into a surgical laser. But let's look. I think that we will not wait too much. Okay. So now we have Joel Villatoro. So please. Oh, you are muted. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bram, what's the minimum number of cores that you need to make a shape sensor?
The bare minimum would be 3. We have been working with 4-core and 7-core fibers. So it depends a bit on your calculation algorithms, what you use there to calculate shape, but the bare minimum is 3 cores.
But with 7 cores, do you have better resolution, or what do you get?
It's not so much the resolution. I mean, I can also not elaborate to the last detail, let's say, but there are certain benefits to work with even more cores to compensate for, let's say, unwanted effects. I mean, the more cores you have, the more possibilities you have to mitigate certain unwanted strain effects or other effects which are coming into play.
The other is, how do you measure pressure? I didn't get it.
Say again,
pressure.
please? Pressure.
Yeah, how do you measure?
That's a bit a different technology. So what I've shown here is really shape and force.
Mm-hmm.
Pressure is, I mean, there are several ways. I mean, would probably lead us a bit too far. To measure pressure directly within Bragg grating, we have specialty fibers, which are, for example, making use of birefringence in an optical fiber and specialty butterfly or microstructured fibers. I mean, was not part of my 6 minutes here, but we have other fiber types to pick up pressure.
It's my understanding that with Brillen, you can also make shape sensing.
There are different technologies using distributed ways of measuring as well. Yes. So there are various ways of doing it. The beauty or the main advantage of using fiber Bragg gratings is that you have very precise local information. So we very precisely control where we put the gratings in, which is especially for relatively short sections of fibers, which are to be monitored, which is, from our point of view, of course, the best way of doing it, because you have maximum precision on where the different measurement positions are located.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure.
Okay, so you named specialty fibers, and I see that Udo Fetzer from OFS raised the hands before the question.
Yeah,
so,
thank you.
Udo, please.
Yeah. I have a principal question. So when you make a surgery and insert this fiber probes, a shape sensor into the human body, is there a referencing process so that you have a mapping and alignment from, let's say, what is in reality, where the position is, and what you see on the interrogator, maybe with X-ray or ultrasonic?
Yeah, very good question. Thank you very much. Indeed, in some cases, there is a referencing being done. Also, the insertion plot I was showing in the presentation is, of course, based on a certain pre-known shape or some a priori knowledge. Yes, there's several ways of doing that. Indeed, some sort of a scan, CT scan or others can be useful, but also other referencing methodologies can be used there. If the fiber is passing a certain let's say predefined shape or a certain shape, that can also be used to basically flag that the fiber is inserted beyond a certain position, let's say. So it's application dependent, but I mean, maybe to answer the fundamental nature of your question, the shape is always calculated from the first Bragg grating position. So indeed, you need to add a certain additional referencing to have like a ground truth of your measurement. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
So if I'm not wrong, I think that Axel from Sensoptic also raised the hands. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, maybe just a last question. How do you get in and out light into the multi-core fiber? Or do you have multi-core connectors?
Yes. So indeed, at the end of the multi-core fiber, there is a multi-core connector. And then, of course, to get access to the individual cores, there is a so-called fan-out, as Remco was already highlighting, where basically the connection is being done, or the fiber is somehow wired out from a multi-core structure to individual cores. So indeed, there is a multi-core connector being used, and then there's also need for a fan-out equipment to get access to the individual cores. All that is needed, yes. But is also developed by ourselves. So the solution I presented, all these challenges are taken care of. So that's really like a turnkey solution where all these components are integrated.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. So it's really an interesting technology and really is opening a lot of ideas or full ideas. So I don't see any other question. And yeah, it's time also to go to the next speaker. Stefano Pomati from company Asensus. I don't know how much, how many people are used with this company. The former name was Transenterics. Maybe it was much better known. Stefano, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Antonio. Thank you for the invitation. And good afternoon, good morning, everyone. So, can you see my slide? Okay, perfect. Yes. So, yes, I'm Stefano Pomati from Asensus Surgical, previously known as Transenterics. We 1 year ago rebranded, and our company basically is designing, manufacturing, and commercializing a robotic platform for digital laparoscopy, I would say, so what is called an RAS, so robotic assisted surgery. I'm Italian, I'm based in Milano, and I'm an engineer. I have a long history in this company. I graduated Polytechnic in Milano, and so I spent almost a life in R&D, and then I moved to what I call the dark side of the company, so to marketing, where I was a product manager, and now I'm just kicking off a new role that, as you can see in my slide, is called Director of Surgical Innovation. When Antonio invited me, I really put my antennas very straight and said, okay, this could be a right floor for me to understand what you guys can do for us. I mean, to improve our system and to improve our outcomes to the surgery. As probably you can get, I can speak hours on this system. Let me start with a video that will show you, will give you a flavor of what you're doing. Let me check that I can, yeah, you should see, you could also see the, here
no, we don't see nothing.
Yeah, I'm starting now.
Okay.
I was checking for the video, yeah. Okay, so this is a video we presented more than 1 year ago during an investor meeting. And what is funny or exciting for me is that some of the technology we presented there that were still under development now are actually used on field. Let me, I mean, probably you saw, sorry, getting used to the PowerPoint presentation mode. So basically you saw that we developed this performance-guided surgery. A lot of words to say that we are incorporating, let's say, what is the robotic part plus augmented intelligence, or let's say what is more known as artificial intelligence, in order to make better surgery, better outcomes for the patient. So explained again, we took laparoscopy, we created a robot to decrease the physical load on the surgeons, and now we are developing AI to also add the clinical intelligence, or let's say to decrease the cognitive load. And all of these trying to maintain a responsible economics, so low cost while using the system. Asensus Surgical, it's listed in the New York Stock Exchange market company. We have an headquarters in North Carolina in the Research Triangle Park, and we have different facilities. So I'm here now in our Milan office. We have also an R&D facility in Israel. We acquired actually a company doing AI. And we have also a facility in Japan, Tokyo, and in Taipei, Taiwan. Plus the other locations you see are other commercial offices or training facilities. As you can see here, we did more than 6,500 surgeries worldwide, and we trained more than 120 surgeons worldwide. So actually, probably we are not well known, but we are, I would say, the second player in the market after the well-known Intuitive Da Vinci doing actually daily surgeries on patients using a robot. So Antonio made me 2 questions. So what can I do for you and what you can do for me? So to reply to the first one, actually, I can only tell you what I have. I have this robotic system. You saw something in the video that was a mix between present and future. And actually, Alexis, you mentioned that the lack of active sensing in robotic system. Actually, yes, it's true in Da Vinci. It's not true in our system because actually we have a force torque sensor at the end of the robot here. So let me use my pointer. So here, where we can feel the forces that the laparoscopic instrument does inside the body. And so at the console here, which is remote with respect to the sterile area, and so with respect to the arms, the surgeon can feel the forces applied to the tissues. To be fair with you, the forces we are feeling are on pitch, yaw, pull, and push. So let's say let's say, I mean, push-pull and lateral forces. We don't feel yet, and this maybe you can guess, it's already something that you can do for me. We don't feel yet the forces between the jaws. I don't want to go into many details of the system to don't bore you, but anyway, we have force feedback. This guy here, it's eye tracking to look at your eyes so that you can move the scope, the endoscope, by using your eyes. And then we have many capabilities. I want to go to the next slide. Let me just run the videos. Not because I want to explain to you all the, I don't want to explain to you all the instruments we have, but just to show you which are the instruments that actually we put inside the body and which are kept by the robotic arms and moved remotely by the surgeon at the console. You can see on the left, we have micro instruments, 3 millimeter of diameter. In the middle, we have 5 millimeter, which are the standard laparoscopic instruments used, but also with advanced energy. In this case, it's an ultrasonic device. And on the right, the most right, we have articulated instrument, which you see here. In this case, it's a 10 millimeter instrument, or we also have almost available, so it's under CE mark approval and under FDA approval, a 5 millimeter version of this instrument bending and rotating the tip infinitely. I wanted again to show you this slide to better understand what we put inside the body and what actually
could be something that we should try to make more sensible, let's say like this. Okay, so let me go to the next slide, where, I mean, what can you do for me? So as I said, I mean, we do this robotic system for laparoscopy, for minimal invasive surgery. We already have some tactile feedback. We already have some solutions to move the scope to be safer during procedure. We are adding AI solutions. For example, you saw to make intracorporeal measures or to tag the screen, and so to easily go back to the tagged part. But these are just ideas. Maybe we can sensorize the two jaws, I mean, so that I can feel also the force while grasping. Maybe I had the input from you during your presentation. You can help me in adding advanced treatments for patients. A big pain for surgeons. Every time I speak with surgeons, last week I was in Germany for a congress, and they told me, we need to see better. I would like to be better inside, because now the space is so small, so tiny, so I need more space, I mean, more possibility to see. And dots for you, because you are the most expert, and so maybe you can have better ideas. I mean, we can combine knowledge, and maybe you can provide me good ideas. So thanks for your attention, and I'm open to any questions or to any follow-up.
Thank you so much, Stefano. So here we have the list made by an end user, a robotic surgery end user. So I see that we have already Philip's service, Willem ready with the, and then, okay, Gervin from the company Riverdy. Okay, so Netherlands is the fastest making question. Please go ahead, Willem.
Yeah, so thank you, Antonio. Thanks for a great presentation. Really nice to see your products. When you say we want to see better, do you only consider optical measurements or visual, or would also be a kind of ultrasound sensor be of added value?
I think ultrasound could add value, absolutely. To be honest, sometimes surgeons say something without knowing, of course, the solution, or without already thinking about a technical application. I mean, they tell me in laparoscopy, the spaces are so tiny. I would like to be like if I'm doing open surgery. So if I have a big cut, I can look inside. So when I ask them their pains, they tell me, I want to see better. I want to touch, feel better. I want to coagulate or cut better. And then the fourth big pain they have is, of course, suturing, when they have to do the reconstructive part, where, of course, suturing is a very complicated task. This is why articulated instruments are helping, and this is why Da Vinci is so good, because they are really intuitive in making this. This is not like if you are in open surgery. So to reply to your question, probably surgeons mean more, I would like to see like if I were in open surgery, but advanced visualization solutions like the one you mentioned could be very interesting. Yes.
Gervin, what is your mind? You was with the camera off until now, so I'm really curious what pushed you to switch on the camera.
Well, probably I heard something interesting. Yeah, Stefano, is really very interesting. I wonder, is there any need to identify actually the tissues? For instance, I presume sometimes the robot is used in oncological surgery.
Yes.
To discriminate between healthy tissue and tumor. Normally, a surgeon would use his fingers to sort of demarcate the extent of the tumor. That's not possible here, and I think also not with the sort of haptic feedback that you have. And even though that doesn't work very well in practice also when doctors do it with their fingers, but so we do Raman spectroscopy together with another in this group, pretty well-known company, Art Photonics in Berlin. We're developing a fiber optic platform that with very thin fiber optics can actually identify the tissue in vivo. So you could discriminate between all the different types of, all that is maybe saying too much, but you could discriminate between various types of tissue in vivo at the tip of your instruments. Would that be of any interest to you?
Absolutely. At the moment in surgery, we use ICG. It's not technology from us, so it's endocyanine control. So you need to inoculate a liquid, and then a special camera can show you in green some specific areas, you know better than me. And it's not our property, it's not our technology, it's something we integrate because we are an open platform from this point of view. But of course, if you could add something. And of course, I was very quick in my presentation, but what we are trying to combining are the benefit of laparoscopy, the benefit of robotics, plus AI. And again, we acquired a company in Israel. Now we have 25 R&D engineers in Israel in our facility in Haifa. And so if we could combine these also with additional technology like the one you're mentioning, absolutely it could be of a benefit for us, yes.
Good. I'm in Milano frequently, so maybe we could meet.
Perfect, absolutely. I can show you better the system. We have a fantastic facility here, demo facility. We can discuss further. Thanks.
Thank you.
If I'm not wrong, is in Milano, the demo facilities, correct?
Absolutely, yes, near Bicocca.
Okay, and I will really welcome you, all the EPIC friends and the EPIC member. I really welcome you in Milano. I'm also in Milano, and it will be really proud to bring to Asensus. And then, Joel, please go. What is your questions? You are muted.
Yeah, curiosity. Thank you so much. I mute all the time. Well, what's the range of forces that you need to measure?
So
the range of newtons, several newtons, micro millinewtons, or what's the range?
It's in the range between, I would say, 5 and 50 Newton between the jaws. I would say. Again, this is, yeah, I mean, probably lower. So, sorry, my reply is based on the force that I know it's needed to carry the treatment. I mean, for example, for advanced bipolar instruments, the manufacturer of the instrument we are integrating told me that they need 30 Newton between the jaws so that the sealing is properly done. Other instruments requires less force. The needle holder requires a bit more. So I would say the range could be up to 50, 60 Newton maximum. But if we are thinking, so this is a reply of the force I need to grasp to do the action. In terms of feeling, probably I would need a bit lower. So I would need to be more sensitive to feel like we were saying first, also giving back the surgeon the feeling of palpating that he lost for sure with laparoscopy, even more with robotics. So I don't have, to be honest, a precise range, I mean the lower range, but I can tell you the maximum that at least the two jaws will apply, and so that the sensor should resist to, I would say.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
And yes, Bram from FBGS, which is your curiosity?
Thanks, Antonio. Hi, Stefano. Thanks for the good presentation. I just wanted to say that it might make sense to connect and to see what we can possibly do with our fibers for your challenges. So it might make sense to have a quick chat after, or have a quick call in the next days just to see if it makes sense to do something.
Absolutely, thanks.
And I saw Axel from SenseOptic raise the hands, and then also Patrick from SUS MicroOptics.
I come back to to the forceps where you want to measure force. Are these forceps disposable or they have to be sterilizable?
So I mentioned about the responsible economics. How we're obtaining these using as much as possible reusable instruments. So at the moment, I would say that 95% of the instruments we are using are reusable many times, I would say, minimum 75 cycles in a cleaning and sterilization process. Of course, probably I would say I don't need a force sensor in all the instruments. So we can think about planning only some instruments to be sensorized to feeling the force between the jaws. And so we can find a compromise on the use life or on the reusability itself, let's say. But anyway, I would prefer to have the possibility to sterilize them, these sensors.
And sterilization means autoclave.
Exactly.
Okay.
132 degrees.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks.
The most widely used sterilization method is with the steam. So let's say the system should sustain 140 degrees typically. Reprocessing. Patrick, please.
Hi, Stefano.
What is?
Hi, Patrick.
So thank you very much for this amazing talk. So it was very nice to see how you had this object recognition and also red graphs in your video. Now you were talking about AI in your tool. I could imagine that there's the data sets you have for training this AI is quite limited. So there's not so many data sets available as, for example, for cars or for LiDAR for a medical tool like this. So how do you train your AI? And then when you trained it, how's accountability handled in operation? So who's accountable if something goes wrong? Is it the AI or is it the operator at the machine?
So it's a very good question, thanks. This is a very sensitive topic. So at the moment, I didn't show because I didn't want to take too much time. What we are integrating as AI, I would say the most advanced solutions are to make intracorporal measures in centimeter with a resolution of 0.1 centimeter in real time. So between the two instruments, we can measure the distance in a straight line or in a shaped line. Then we can place some tags, so make digital annotation of the image, which are actually hooked to the image. So also if you move the image, if you zoom in, zoom out, or if you move the organs, these digital tags are anchored. It's a tool to don't lose, let's say, inside the body or to better communicate with your team. Then we have advanced solutions for moving the endoscope. In particular, we follow automatically the tip of the instruments so that they are always in the middle of the screen, so the surgeon will never lose them, and you can zoom in, zoom out. Now we are adding other solutions, like, for example, anatomical structure detection, like real-time aids to the surgeon. We are, yes, feeding our algorithms with videos, and some dedicated people that are saying, okay, this is a cyst-duct, this is a tumor, something like this. Then, of course, this is absolutely an under-development solution, so I don't even have idea when we could be on the market with this. But yes, this will be very challenging from a feeding point of view and on the liability of the decision. Of course, this is always something that you can suggest, and then at the end of the day, the surgeon taking the decision. So there will be a discussion about responsibilities of the information provided. What we can say only is that there is a high probability that what we are looking at is a cyst-duct, or there's a high probability that between these 2 points, the measure is 9.5 centimeter. On the property of the data, we are already working with our legal offices to understand also how to handle in our the sharing of this information, something like this. So long reply to say that the most advanced are still under development, and so there's still a lot to go on regarding the question you made. I hope I was able to give you a flavor, but
yeah. maybe just for all the person in the room and also the people that are following us on YouTube. Yeah, we will close officially the meeting around 5 o'clock. We are more or less in time. But who would like to remain here to chat, really feel free to chat, or also feel free to call Stefano later. And there is so many things to talk with Stefano and with all the other people in the room. And I see also Michael Oderwald from TNO. So
Yes,
Netherlands is also our hot spot now.
Yeah, sorry for that. We're
No.
drawing a lot of attention. Yeah, I was wondering if you know the company EF Instruments, so endoscopic force reflecting instruments.com. It's a Dutch company. I worked for them for, let's 10 years ago. I worked a lot of years with them on the development on a force reflective instrument, so haptic feedback in a forceps.
I know a company called EFI.
Yeah,
driven by Michel
Leugels. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know
that's
that.
it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been working together for many years, and they've recently reopened their website. So
exactly, they had a long stop, right?
Yeah.
With Michel, we know each other, and we met also 6 months ago in Rome. We are in contact with him, and so yes.
Good to hear. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay.
Great. So Stefano, you are really more than welcome in our family.
Thanks. Thank you very much again for the invitation. It was very interesting for me.
Really, I would like that whenever you have, you would like to join us and to have a great technological opportunity with all these friends. And I will go on. I don't see any other question, but I will go on with the last presentation from Remco Nieuwland, the CEO of Somni Solution, another company dealing with fiber optics.
Yes.
And Remco, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Antonio, for the introduction, and thank you for speaking today. I hope my screen is visible.
Perfect.
Great. Well, I'm also from the Netherlands. We're from Somni is a small company in Delft, in the Netherlands, and we focus on sensors based on fiber optics. We do that for all kinds of markets. So I'll give a very brief introduction. We develop sensors for structural health monitoring, for monitoring bridges, and we do some stuff in big science for the nuclear fusion plant in the south of France, ITER. We do a little bit of stuff on defense, not that much lately, and railway applications. But today we're going to talk about what we do for the medical industry. This is something which is running for a few years on the back burner with us, and I'm very happy to be able to show you some work we have been doing over the past years on the medical fields. Now, we already seen a few pictures from Mauro about this application. So pressure sensors for cardiovascular applications. And like what Mauro was saying is that the surgeon wants to see the blood flow through the vessels. Direct flow measurement is really great. I'm very curious about that part, but we have been having discussions with companies, with surgeons saying, yeah, we would like to have a multiple pressure sensor measurement. So instead of just having one pressure sensor on the tip of a fiber, or in this case, this is an electrical sensor. Sorry, Eric, about that. Your sensors are very small, so that's why I put this one there. We like to have a number of discrete pressure sensor points along the catheter to be able to determine the flow through a specific part of the arteries. So for us, there's only way to go is using an optical fiber with a number of fiber Bragg ratings. Somni is a company which solely does fiber Bragg rating based sensors. Only here, the challenge is it has to be very, very small. So less than 0.33 millimeters in diameter. So this is something we have been working on for 2-3 years now. And especially the diameter of 330 micron, that was a big challenge for us. So we quickly identified that, yeah, the standard 125 micron fiber is rather thick compared to the 330 micron fiber diameter we have to build a pressure transducer. So we've been looking into the 80 micron and even the 50 micron fiber, which are commercially available. And that really helps, not only in terms of size, but also the fiber break rating needs to convert pressure into strain to have a signal. And if you have such a small pressure transducer, automatically you don't have that much force to elongate the fiber. So if you then decrease the diameter of the fiber, you can have much more signal per unit force compared to the 125 micron fiber. For 80 micron fiber, it's about 2.44 times more signal, 50 micron, 6.25 times more signal. So the question now is that enough? Well, we thought, nah, it's not enough. We need to go even further down in size. So we said, can we go to a 25 micron fiber? And we had some discussions here and there. It gives enormous benefit because it gives you 25 times more strain per unit force compared to a standard 125 micron fiber. So we did some discussion with Reis Acreo, with Elsa Klaas. I don't know if she's in the meeting today, about can we manufacture a 25 micron fiber? And she said, well, let's give it a go. Can you please, Somni, make the fiber design? So we did all kinds of modeling on that. We provided the design to Acreo in Sweden, and they did some preforms and did some drawings. And after a few months, we had the first 10 meters on a spool of 25 micron fiber. Later on, it took several months. We received another few spools from Elsa with more than a kilometer of 25 micron fiber. And you think, that is really great. But then, yeah, the nightmare begins because, I think most of you here in the meeting can handle a 125 micron fiber, can splice it, can cleave it, and can do the stripping. 80 micron becomes a little bit more complicated. 50 micron is already quite a pain, but I can assure you 25 micron was a bit of a nightmare. So it took us quite some time, but I think we're now quite successful in it. So what we do is we develop the methods to be able to strip the fiber, to cleave the fiber, to do some splicing. And splicing we do by first splicing a 125 micron fiber to a 50 micron fiber. And then from the 50 micron fiber, we splice through the 25 micron fiber. And here you can see the humongous difference between the two fibers. Okay, then if we can do that, we can insert light into the fiber, but we still need the fiber break ratings. For that, we had some support from a Swedish company and a German company, also both EPIC members, by the way. Northlab has a fiber break manufacturing station, which we used to write the first fiber break ratings into this specific fiber. And later on, we moved on to Enzonic for writing through the coating femtosecond written gratings into this fiber. So we can put in light into the fiber. We have fiber break ratings in the fiber. So the next step is developing the actual transducers. I can have a very long story about how we did that, but I just wanted to show you one of the pictures of the sensors which we designed and manufactured and tested in the end. This is spot on 0.33 millimeters in diameter, which we tested using a device called a blood pressure. Basically, it's a heart simulator. I think Eric from FISO, you know this system is quite old. The Biotech 601 brings back memories. we've been using it in combination with one of the electric pressure sensors as a reference. And these are the results which we got so far from our tiny fiber break rating pressure sensors. We're very happy with the results. It's pretty much spot on with respect to the reference sensor. So now we have those fiber break rating pressure sensors. Our next step is to start integrating into to catheters to have the multiple pressure points. And then somewhere after the summer, we are planning the first surgeries with a PIC, as you can see here based on the legs. And I think this is the instrument Michiel was talking about from the AV company with the force feedback stuff. But this is in a nutshell what I wanted to show you today. As you can see, we are already working with a lot of different companies which are already EPIC member. So if you ask me, what do you need today? Well, we are a fiber optic sensing company, and we do not know much about all the medical regulations and stuff like that. So any help there would be much appreciated. Thank you for your attention. If there are any questions, please let me know. And here are my contact details.
Thank you so much, Remco. I think that also you put the finger on some interesting points. One are the technological questions. So the challenge, because we are in the medical field, so we are going to the human body, is to go smaller and smaller. So this is opening really a new approach to optical fiber sensing. And then you raise also the point about the support on regulation for medical devices. Here, what I can offer you is really the cooperation, and then later we can talk a little more of the pilot line MedFab. So MedFab will give you really a good support. And among the members of MedFab, there is also Philips Innovation Service. So it's really another part of this great ecosystem that can support each other. And then I see that also Bram raised the hand. So Bram.
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Remco, for the presentation and showing us that in detail. Very interesting. I had a question, maybe I missed it. Can you comment on the multiplexing limits, let's say? How many measurement points did you then put in one configuration? And what do you see there as a fundamental limit, perhaps, on the number of measurement points you can have?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Bram. So at this moment, we are hooking up a interrogation unit, a commercial interrogation unit, specifically the FOSS I4G from another EPIC member, Optics 11. Because of the great noise floor performance of that specific unit. There, if I look at the multiplexing capabilities combined with that unit, I think we will be able to add at least 12 of those pressure sensors on a single fiber. Yes.
And spatially speaking, then I guess you need to have a minimum spacing in between for.
Yeah, we're now
sensor manufacturing, let's say, or
we're now applying something like 50 millimeters between the pressure points.
Okay, nice.
But it's of course it can be customized to basically anything you want. It's under discussion with the end users.
Okay, thanks
you for the question. Thanks.
Okay, so no. Okay, great. Michiel from TNO.
Remco, yeah, you know, I'm a mechanical engineer, not an optical engineer. Does it help? So the bending radius from a mechanical point of view will be probably smaller as you have such a small fiber diameter. Is this also optically that you can still keep the light in better at smaller bending radii?
Yeah, that's a good question. Indeed, the 1.5 micron fiber can have a much smaller bend radius. Design which I made has a very high NA, 0.23. So from an optical point of view, also the bend radius is smaller compared to a telecommunication grade fiber with a lower NA. I didn't really optimize it for very, very small bend radius, but in the handling itself, yeah, you can have a picture of that. I can show that to you offline. But the fiber, the 25 micron fiber itself, can be twisted around a standard 125 micron fiber. It's really incredible. Thanks for the question.
Yeah, cool.
Peter Lovi from Silex.
Yeah, thanks. Hi, Remco. I have just one or two questions quickly for you about this. So this seems to be pretty interesting. So do you have any feeling when this product might become somehow volume related and demanded? And if you know a good company who can help you with manufacturing such products when it comes to the volumes?
I think, Peter, I know a pretty good company somewhere in Slovakia which can help me out with that point. Probably the first one I'll call. But yeah, I think we still have quite a way to go before this becomes a real medical qualified device. We still have to go through the medical trials, which we do not have much experience with. I would say several more years to go. And I'm very curious about the experience from FISO, which have a very similar product, single-ended in this case. How their experience was, how much time it takes for them from the early product development up to the stage where it can be used in vivo, completely regulated by the FDA. Maybe Eric, can you comment?
Yeah, I could comment a little bit about that. Actually, I think one of our first customer that we had from R&D to final commercialization, I think it took 7 years. Okay. But now with the experience, it's more 2 to 3 years from R&D to final. But it's very long cycles, you know, and that's actually because of the there are a lot of tests that should be done on the manufacturing, but also on the final products. It's not only just to be biocompatible, it's much more than this. It has to be safe, and there's a lot of variables to verify and to assume also that when you produce one sensor and you qualify your product on this few number of sensors, you have also to make sure that all what you are producing will be the same that you have qualified. So you have to also to qualify your production line, and that's tedious actually. and the other thing, once you have qualified everything, then when you need to change one thing, you have to not necessarily to qualify everything again, but you have to prove that the change didn't harm your product. Either it could be similar or better. So sometimes it's you know, you start with having some adhesive, and then when you go to production, then suddenly one adhesive is not available anymore. So you have to refine another one, requalify it, and that's a lot of pain actually.
Oh, otherwise you'll get bored. It's not pain.
It's a lot of work. Yeah, a lot of work and a lot of qualifications and but then when you get used to it, it's faster. Yeah, okay. But it's at least 2 years, 2 to 3 years. It's something that is optimistic. Yeah,
I definitely hear that we need to work with a lot of different partners here. Otherwise, we'll never get there. Thank you for elaborating, Eric. Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. There is any other comments or question? Yes, Joel, go ahead.
Yeah, I have curiosity. Do you use a conventional splicing machine and cleaver to join the two fibers together?
Yes, we do. However, it has been modified in different ways to be able to accommodate for the 25 micron fiber and to avoid exerting a lot of force on it. we change splicing programs using manual modes. We also don't use a very new, sophisticated splicing system, because those things you cannot modify very well. So we use actually a very old splicer. With that one, it can be done.
I see.
Yeah. Thank you for your question.
And don't you excite cladded modes in this tiny fiber?
No. I checked the single mode behavior. It is single modes, I think, down to about 1419 1500 nanometers.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you for your question.
Okay. Yes, Axel, go ahead.
Yeah,
sorry, Axel, sorry, because I see that Stefano needs to leave sharply at 5 o'clock. So I would like to thank Stefano for the great presentation. And yeah, Axel, please go ahead.
Now, maybe a last stupid question. Can you work with plastic optical fibers to increase sensitivity?
It's a very good question. If you look at how can you boost the sensitivity given the amount of force you have, then there are two ways to go. One is changing the diameter of a glass fiber, where you have a given Young's modulus, or keep the diameter the same and change the Young's modulus. So if you use a plastic optical fiber, you lower the Young's modulus and you'll reach the same result. I'm curious, however, if that really would work, given that plastics are, as a sensor, I had some bad experiences with it, with hysteresis and the way it reacts on temperature. If you can get a drift-free sensor compared to using a glass-based fiber optic sensor.
Okay.
Welcome.
Okay. Gerwin, are you asking something or no? It's just okay. So, gentlemen and ladies, we are more or less at 5 o'clock, so we are in time. I would like just to share a couple of slides. So I would like, first of all, to thank all the panelists. So Alexis Mendez from California, the president of MCH, Eric Pinet from Canada, FISO Resonetics. Mauro Sette is only from Switzerland, the CEO of Medyria. Bram van Hoye from Netherlands, FBGS. Stefano Pomati from Italy, from company Asensus, and Remco Nieuwland, Somni Solution. So thank you so much to all you, and also a special thanks to my colleague Jérémy, who took over while I was having trouble with my connection. But then, what we learned today, I think that was really, I have a lot of things that I bring home. So we learned that there is really a wide range of biomedical application of fiber optic sensor. There are already few medical devices that are coming into the market. I mean, into a medical device coming into the market. The example are the devices developed by FISO and by Medyria. We saw also very interesting solution ready for shape sensing into endoscopy, thanks to the work of FBGS and the others. It was very, very impressive, the questions, the list of Asensus from Stefano. So robotic is really waiting for solution from the photonics community. They are waiting for a force sensor between the jaws, something more to treat and to understand the treatments of the patients, as well also to have a better view from the endoscopy. It also, we learned from Somni, he raised the point that when we deal with surgical fibers or medical application, we are going to the body. So as smaller as possible. So we have to go further than the typical standard of 125 micron, go down to 50 micron of outer diameter. And clearly here I see really a lot of opportunity at any level between components, system integrator, and users. So I think that we will have really a good and a lot of results from this interesting meeting of today. So I thank you really all the participants that animated this interesting discussion today. And with this, I will say you goodbye to the next time. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Antonio.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And